Here are 5 overpaid NBA players of the 2019-2020 season. Salary cap is going to be a big controversy this upcoming season, so why not start with the team that caused it, the Houston Rockets, talking about Eric Gordon. Last offseason, Daryl Morey signed an aging Chris Paul to a max contract extension. That went horribly wrong after the second year. During the season, he decides to sign Eric Gordon to a 4-year extension, which in grand total makes it a 5-year, $89+ million contract, with the 5th year when he's making $20 million non-guaranteed if the Houston Rockets don't win a championship. NBA is wide open this season, but realistically, are the Rockets going to win a championship this year? Probably not. So that gives Eric Gordon's timeline with the Rockets at least another year or two. Considering he's not going to get any better than he already is, he's still a solid 16 to 18 plus point per game scorer, so at least it's not as bad as Chris Paul's awful contract last year. Moving on, let's talk about Malcolm Brogdon, who signed with the Indiana Pacers for 4-year, $85 million. By the time that contract finishes up, he'll most likely be 30, so this is a very reasonable price and year range for a player of his age and his potential, but I don't necessarily see him being the point guard of the future running alongside Victor Oladipo. There's a lot of hype and potential in Aaron Holiday, the backup point guard, so maybe in a year or two Aaron Holiday could get that starting spot from Brogdon, and then they would look to trade Brogdon. I feel like this signing, more in particular, is a swinging for the fences, waiting for Victor Oladipo to get back and healthy. We'll have to see how they're able to play together. Brogdon has only improved his stat line in his first 3 years with the Milwaukee Bucks, and especially with Victor Oladipo being out for a good majority of this season, you would assume Brogdon's stats and his play should be on the up and up as well. Just $85 million is a lot for like one of the least memorable rookie of the years. Good player, not sure about the price and the long term of the contract. Next, let's talk about Bogdan Bogdanovich, who had a career year with the Indiana Pacers, the team we were just talking about, averaging 18 points a game, carrying the Pacers after Victor Oladipo went down. So in theory, he deserves it. You know, a lot of young players would average 18 points, they would get this contract, and there wouldn't really be anything wrong with it. The only problem is the age and the Utah Jazz's team needs. The pieces that the Jazz were able to acquire this offseason made a lot of people think that this Jazz team could be like the Denver Nuggets of last year. And although I think that's true, looking at that power forward depth, they don't really have any. Bogdanovich and Joe Ingles are most likely going to have to play that 3 and 4 spot. As a team trying to make a deep playoff push, I'm not sure how much heavy lead you can rely on Jeff Green. So although Bogdanovich had a career year and deserves this contract, I wouldn't offer him this much if I was the Utah Jazz GM, but I guess that's why I'm not a GM. Hopefully Bogdanovich can take on that Jay Crowder and Derek Favors role with less defense, but more shooting in the lineup, I guess. Speaking of defense and shooting, let's talk about Danny Green, who just signed with the Lakers for 2 years, $30 million. If you've been following my channel for the longest, you'll know I love to compare every player to Danny Green. In terms of salary, that is, because Danny Green technically peaked in the 2013-2014 NBA Finals, and since then he's been okay. You know, he had a little resurgence with the Raptors, won another championship there, and now got another solid contract. He's going to make around the same in 2 years that he made in the last 4, and I really only have him on this list to be an example of a player that is perfectly paid. You know, $5 million. I wouldn't pay necessarily Danny Green that extra $5 million per year. You know, $10 million. That's pretty solid work. Danny Green is, you know, looking at the years, is a $10 million player. But I guess with the salary cap rising and technically dropping 15% this upcoming season, it's going to be tough to say. But Danny Green, we're making the Danny Green index. If you're paid more than Danny Green and can't produce Danny Green numbers, you're overpaid. And Danny Green, sometimes he can't produce Danny Green numbers at times, but hopefully this season he can, because he's playing with LeBron James. I love you, Danny, for watching. You probably aren't. Last but not least, Terry Rozier, who got paid $56 million for 3 years by the Charlotte Hornets, which absolutely makes no sense to me, considering he only averaged career best 11 points per game. Last year, 9. They're really banking off of his playoff appearance like 2 years ago, which is, it feels like last year, but apparently it's 2 years ago when Kyrie was out. He had a nice little run with the Boston Celtics. I look at this contract signing like when the Orlando Magic paid Bismack Biyombo 4 years, crazy something $1 million for his playoff run with the Toronto Raptors. And then another good example would be Solomon Hill with the Indiana Pacers when the Pelicans overpaid for him. Terry Rozier is essentially one of those type players, but a little bit more talented. The Hornets are in rebuild mode. You know, they haven't won anything in the past. They probably aren't going to win anything in the future for the next couple of years. So they want to stay competitive with this contract signing, but in reality, they already have a lot of bad contracts. Why add on to the awful contracts? Luckily, it's not, 4 or 5 years. It's only 3. But those are 5 players I feel like are overpaid this season and last season. So let me know who I missed in the comment section below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Leave a like, subscribe, share the video around, all that good stuff. Click on these other videos, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Thank you for watching.